Well,
My neck should tear their ass up because they ain't gonna be able to handle it, whatever she put on them.
yeah, well, I think it's
It'll
it.
be, it'll be their factories and shit getting rolled over just like that tsunami in Japan rolled over a lot of that shit that she was on. It'll be their shit getting rolled over by nature and they'll be like, ooh, we didn't lose a lot of lives, but we sure did lose a lot of money.
Well, you know what? Check this out. You know what? Dig this. Dig
It's
this.
gonna be funny.
Listen to this. I was looking at my YouTube segment, Asar's Army, you know, and on there, I made a comment about the people dying and everything that seemed like it was out of character and tasteless and without me having any regard to the loss of life that was out there. But as I was trying, you know yourself, as I told you, that it's way bigger than that with me because I understand how the true intricacy of life works. Those people that died in that water out there or whatever type of earth change that murdered people, and I call it murder because nowadays the earth is with the mission to eradicate the scum existence of us human beings off the earth, and that's the reason why I support any action that the earth has toward restoring herself to the calibration that the universe designed it to have. And so when I sit there and watch these people over in that area, just like what you just said, you know that the Jews had taken over that Japan area because that's what their invasion of the Japanese islands was all about. That's why they staged that war in Hawaiian Island out there at Pearl Harbor and put those ships out there. They was old ass decommissioned ships that they knew they was going to decommission anyway, and they put them out there to antagonate the Japanese people to, or either the Japanese people and the Japanese government and the American government might have plotted this shit together. Because listen, let me explain to you what went down after the World War II thing go on with the Japan getting in the war by attacking America. Now they put these old ass ships out in Pearl Harbor. The Japanese come and attack them. America and the Japanese people supposed to be at war with each other. The outcome of that comes a mixture of two nations, a multi-corporation is what happened. Now let me explain it to you. I'm going to break it down to you. Both of these governments got together under the disguise of war. They merged together, built up an empire. This is exactly what they did because the Japanese people are just as imperialistic to their women and treat their women as if they're lower than the men, just like the Europeans have taught them to do. Before that, the Japanese empire all consisted around the same type of teachings of Shaitanitary, like every other origin of melanated people had their encompass of religious doctrination built around. Okay, now when these Europeans and these people, these Japanese islands got together and started this war, their whole big emphasis was to become the military war equipment making corporation that they became. And that's the reason when those people were running from that water that was all around, I could see what it did is it went to a region that was a region of factories, and everything that was sustained around that region was sustained by the revenue that came from the production of the weapons of destruction that I'm sure the Japanese people and the Americans had established these factories there, and they were making electronics that was being implemented into missiles, put into all type of machinery to excavate the earth and extract oil from the earth. All this stuff that was going on there was a reason that the earth attacked those people. And that's the reason why when I see those people being attacked by the earth, I mean, it's like that's an abiding principle. If God feels like he or she wants to do that, who am I to sit up and try to say God was wrong? I don't say God was wrong. I'll point out to the world exactly what's going on. And that's the reason I have the attitude that I have, because that's the reason I was sent here. So everybody out there that think that I am a cruel person who can never ever have the right to stand up and say that I'm a representation of the sun. Yes, I do. And that's the reason why I talk the way I do, because I want to point out to you when all these things is going down that they're not just acts of nature. They are deliberate, well orchestrated attacks against the people that has been attacking the earth. And so when I say stuff like that, and that lady was running fast as hell, she was moving out, and people think I'm heartless. I'm not being heartless. I'm just looking at things from a perspective of a knowing God and knowing that that woman was going through some circumstances in her life because somewhere her karma had set up the reason for her to be having those experiences. So I'm just, I'm just convincing myself of what I see being what I see and sharing that knowledge with the world. So After we have a world of people that sit around and watch people be raped and enslaved and all the stuff that has went on. Come on, give me a break. Don't you dare sit there and try to scorn me because I make a comment that you feel was out of a moderate tempo of someone should be more concerned of the victims of this. You call them victims yourself. So if they are victims, that means that the concern part of that will be taken care of by the universe. That is not my job. The universe has its abiding principles that always will be the way they are. And if you think that for some reason I'm going to be punished one day because I just narrated the events that was being unfolded in front of my eyes, then see, you need to think about the reason I had to narrate things that way, because otherwise people will be seeing that and not really seeing it for what it's worth. I pointed out all the black dirt to let people know this is the earth blackness attacking your ass back for you attacking blackness. There's nothing wrong with me being honest and informative and educating as I can about the way our universe works. Do you feel me on that?
Mm-hmm.
So you know,
they're the ones that created these false imageries of how we identify ourselves. So if I say white people, obviously I can't be talking about all of them. You know what I'm saying? Or when I say the government, obviously I can't be talking about everybody that works for them, all the secretaries, all the little bell people that work in the bell room, and everybody that walks into the building. When you are out there protesting like a Wall Street protest or some other shit going on, you think that everybody involved is involved. So when you're out standing out in front of Wall Street, you see motherfuckers going in there, you're ready to kill their ass too, or you're ready to bring them down inside the building too. When really a lot of those people are just going in there trying to make a living and feed the family, and they don't give a fuck about Wall Street. They wish they could crush them, you know.
well, you know,
That died in the World Trade Center. I'm sure a lot of them probably wanted good things for everybody.
well, on that note right there.
That's the way we identify shit. You know, we say Bush is a Nazi, that motherfucker's a Nazi. We say the Jews are some bullshit, fucking slave master people. I mean, that's what we're talking about. It's like, but it is people with power doing that shit. But we're obviously, when we use these words, that's why they put it on us like that. You know, I'm Polish, I'm Scottish, I'm Irish. You're a nigger, you're a Jew, you're this. So you can always be confused trying to identify the bullshit, you know. But it's great when you're breaking it down, though.
But I'm glad you said that.
Expect it to be done any other way.
Well, see, what you said made a lot of sense. The dissension, you know, because like I was reading a book about Catholicism, because I always try to read about how everybody got so ignorant. So I was reading the book and it showed me how they use religion as a former method of separation of the people on the earth. They, you know, they use everything: skin color, gender, wealth. You know.
That's that Babylon. Yeah, they tell you that the Tower of Babylon.
The Tower of Babylon.
Everything.
That's right. But see, the reason I brought that up is because my whole emphasis is to point out the fact that the dissension of the religion that we call Christianity itself. This religion is comprised of Protestants, Catholic, okay, you got Baptist, you got Methodist, you got Jesus only, you got Latter-day Saint, you got Jehovah Witness, right? And all of these things have one thing in synonymous. And that thing that they have in synonymous is that they are all names of white conquerors. And all these that's the truth. And all these white conquerors conquered all the names. Okay, listen, you got Baptist. That's John. What was his name? Jean Baptiste. He was some French guy.
Yeah, Baptist.
Baptist. Baptiste is where Baptist came from. And then the Protestant came from some guy named Protestant.
Oh shit.
Yes. And then
Lutheran, I know.
Lutheran is the same. Martin Luther.
Yeah, no shit.
Yes. And all these churches are, now let me explain it to you. All these churches are divided because you got these white people who took a religious system of doctrination of self-improvement that was based on mythology and analogical, allegoric mysticism of people. People created these life occurrences and gave elements, personifications, and all this stuff, and built the great structures of Egypt. And then taught it to the rest of the world, which did good. A lot of civilizations came and did very well. But until the white man came. When he came...
I visited my aunt's church, and she was a Methodist. I said, I'm obviously, why did they call it Methodist? She said, well, because we're a Methodist, son, and it's our method. And she said, when you come in here, you have to be very quiet. We don't play the music loud. Nobody gets to talk. Blah, blah, blah. She was absolutely right. There's one in there, man. That motherfucker was quiet in the Methodist church. You couldn't say shit. The preacher was whispering. I fell asleep. Went there twice, and I fell asleep. I was like, damn, you can sleep in this motherfucker. That was for sure. So, check it out, dude. They call it Methodist. And she told me that's our method. Everything is quiet. So, you go in there, ain't gonna be no Randy Raven. Ain't gonna be no revolution. Ain't gonna be nobody trying to get away from Jesus.
Well, listen. That's how it works. That's how it works. When they get your ass to be quiet, one of the first requirements.
Oh, dude, that's the method. And she said it's our method. I was like, what? You can't. I was like, Auntie, I can't. She was like, shh, man, you couldn't hear a pin drop in that fucking church.
Well, listen.
Everybody wanted Baptist, everybody having a good ass time. Man, the Methodist church was quiet for 2.5 hours.
Well, look, let me ask you a question. How long have we, as a people, been quiet? That's how they started off. I always tell you, if it wasn't for Luther, that wouldn't be big. The only way this Christianity and this Judaism and Islam was able to intoxicate the whole world the way it has and make everybody become these stupid ass controlled masses of people was because of, look, let me tell you how they did it. It's real simple. They took everything and never gave you shit. So now you got people sitting around that has everything, that has been instructed. They've been instructed by this white man that it is godly to give things. And he takes everything and doesn't give anything. And as long as he doesn't give anything, he would have everything, because that's what he did. That's what he did. He took away the woman's natural attribute of generosity and reciprocity. He took that away, stagnated it, and replaced that with his white man method of selfish stagnation, because stagnation and selfishness was not a way of us African people. We never had a society that was not well aware of how important it was for every person in the society to sustain each other. And that's the reason why we had no competition like you see on the earth right now. There is no reason for men to get together and spend all the money and all the energy and all of the unnecessary waste of time to get together to compete with each other, to prove I'm stronger than you, I'm faster than you, I can think better than you. All this shit that we waste time on should be time used where men get together and prove that we could bring all these attributes that we have to the table with each other and build a society where no one has to starve, no one has to be mistreated, no one has to worry about being thrown out into the cold and sleeping in the alley while we have so many homes that's empty and no one occupying it just because we let a banking system take control of everything, whose only interest is to keep their freaking money in the bank that they never spend. It's like, you motherfucker, you got so much money, you never even spend that money. You're living off of the interest that you accumulate just by being in the seat of power that you're in off of your corruption. And you mean to tell me that you are that low life that you will sit around and let people actually be homeless when you already own structures that are empty? And you know, I mean, and this is the reason why the wind is out there right now blowing up a storm. You hear me? Showing everybody, you know, you dudes think it's a joke. You think this is a joke. Say my prophet uses so much profanity just to be a part of the vibrations of that planet, because that's what I am. I'm showing people my emotions without holding them back. The average person, they know, well, if you use profanity and everything, see, back to that be quiet thing. Well, using profanity and everything like that is like, it's kind of not the way to go, because then it make people think that you're not intelligent, and it's kind of disruptive, and it should not. Listen, let me explain something to you. We at the stage of this on this earth right now where the disruptive forces that's getting ready to go on, when these volcanoes start erupting and these tornadoes and all this whirlwind, hurricane, and fire falling from the sky and meteorites and all the shit that's going to be acts of the universe, showing us how stupid we have become with our insubordination to God's word and our creation of a fake God that gives us permission to do anything we want as long as we ask this God for forgiveness, and we have to pay this God. They have created an image of a man that they pay for permission to go out and be devils, and they actually believe that this shit works. And the people that's on the earth being victimized by this have tried their best to worship this image and pray to it to allow them to be a part of the privilege. And then they find themselves, no, you'll never be privileged like that. And you'll always be victimized by us. And on top of that, you're going to go to hell with us too, because you were not wise enough to understand that you should be becoming in opposition to this world. And that's what the Bible tells us all the time. It say, flee from Babylon. It says, flee from her. Don't want anything of her. Don't partake of her. But we got a system where everybody has ordained their energies to be on the quest for opulence and extravagances, and they don't have no idea about the road that we're on coming to a dead end, where we're all going to be turned into cannibals, and you're going to have a government that's going to put us in under conditions and circumstances where we constantly have to compete and murder each other for the small commodities that they have purposely rid the earth of all its sustainment forces, all the fish in the sea they're poisoning, you know, all the stuff that they're doing to make sure that, because these are some evil, corrupt people that know that they were never supposed to be here. And the only people who can challenge them and destroy them before they pull their objective off is the people that has a bright enough conscience to understand that the words coming out of my mouth is true. Because listen, those starships could come down here and just murder everybody, okay? But the thing is, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to let a large population of the earth be eradicated. And the people that's going to be left on the earth is only going to be the ones who had the most promising consideration of bringing a God attribute back to the earth. And those are going to be the people who was able to find themselves vibrating on energies greater than Jesus. All the ones that stuck on Jesus, all the ones that stuck on any religion that gives you a God other than the Sun, S-U-N, or yourself. If you are on those vibrations, I guarantee you, you are going to be eradicated off the face of the earth. Just simple. And then you're going to have to go to the judgment hall, because they're going to know that your butt really, really, really need to be dealt with. Because the earth has been healing people, everybody losing weight, everybody throwing up phlegm out of their bodies, and all this stuff going on, that any person that has a brain should be able to see that the sun brought a whole lot of healing with it. For this last 4 years, people have been getting healed. But they sitting up wanting to still eat the same old food, still want to smoke cigarettes, don't want to get no intelligence, don't want to learn why you shouldn't eat meat, because it's blood. Your whole Bible tells you don't consume blood. Real simple. And then when you try to tell them that the main people that has convinced them that they are a God people is the devil. They're Satan. And they are intoxicated. They got the world so messed up where all you could do is work. And the day that you don't go to work, everything is so borderline to becoming homeless. On the day you don't want to go to work, when you want to sit down for a change and have a peace of mind, it's like circumstances around you that force you to not have that luxury. And here's what's sad about it. You're not living good to be working so hard like that. I mean, we're not. We're sick. Our earth is dying, and everybody on it is dying and being worked to death. But you know what they're doing? They're mining the people and the planet.
Yeah, the white boy came by last night. First, his ass was wore out, man. He came by, I was like, man, can I spend the night? I was like, sure, man, I love to spend the night. He had to get up at 7 or 6 this morning to be smart. But he said he just been trying to work, stay in his room, in his shelter, wherever, finding little odd jobs every day, trying to eat, you know, little food stamp, TR ticket, shit don't even last a week. And he just was exhausted, man, when I saw him last night. Nigga knocked on my door, he just looked fuck. And watch this, man, this is a grown-ass 40-year-old white man, motherfucker, 41 years old. Sat on my couch and cried. I was like, this nigga's coming here crying. I said, man, fuck you crying, boss. Everybody got problems, man. You know, I told us that everybody's going through whatever the fuck you are, you know. It's the same white boy that was talked out of doing suicide about a month ago.
Yeah, he's depressed, I know.
I was gonna spend the night, but for the first 15 minutes he was here, I was just telling his ass, man, this fucking world's about to be destroyed, man. Stop crying, so fun. Man up, motherfucker. You know, it wasn't funny, it was just that I wanted him to see his own power. I was like, man, you gotta get back to your own power. That's what they're trying to take from you, you know, your own personal power that you have.
Yeah.
got to be sticks. And I said, all day I was sitting here thinking, I would be happy in the sticks if I had to go to the woods. And the way I was thinking about it was, I was convincing myself, okay, without all these material things I have, even without electricity, you know, my little toy gadgets, TVs, monitors and shit, electric guitars, I said, man, I'd be happy in the sticks because I love Mother Nature. I want her to teach me how to live with her instead of trying to live with the white man.
I would too. I'd rather go out into the forest and deal with the insects, the bugs, everything than the state.
Yes, I would be most happy in the sticks.
Hell yeah.
I told Verse, I said, nigga, I was sitting out there, I said, I would be most happy in the woods if everybody had to go.
That's, you know what, that's the reason. That's the whole reason.
We all have to go back to nature.
That's the whole reason why they, you know what, that's the whole reason why they destroyed all the trees and poured all this concrete, because they knew that would bring all of the people to a general center so they could all be controlled. If there was places where you could go and hang out in the woods and escape the oppression of the white man, people would do it. And that was the reason why they had the crusade. And the crusade was because they went around and captured all of the people that was farmers and homesteaders that had found pieces of land out in the acreage surrounding areas that was away from the center of government. They went out and found all those people and burned up their crops, burned down their homes, put them in chains and shackles, brought up false charges against them to the church. You did something in non-compliance with the church, like working on the Sabbath day. Then they took the fathers and the mothers to the church and raped them, did whatever they wanted to them until they died. And then they took the children and put them in orphanages and programmed their ass to accept our Lord Jesus Christ. And then they made these women have all these babies, and she had to perpetuate our Lord Jesus Christ. And their big plan was 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years down the line, everybody will be so brainwashed that you have to argue with people and tell them, listen, they brainwashed you into believing that. That's not the way it worked. And that's what, see, they got the books. They got the books from Egypt to show you how to make a divine society. And they did everything on the flip side of that to make a society that was perpetuated off of evil and ignorance. And that's the reason now that the earth has sent the sunlight's sigils to the earth to wake up all the prophets and restore the earth. And she's saying like this, it's real simple. I've watched what happened. I know who the perpetrators are. Don't be afraid. I'm going to kill those motherfuckers, okay? You go down there and you do what I tell you to do. And that is, you go down there and you preach to them. Don't worry about homeless. Don't worry about those crazy ass women down there. Don't search for affection from no one, because you're not going to find it. They're going to hate you. They're going to do everything they can to make you be a not welcome person, a not successful person. They're not going to want to see anything happen to your ass, but you end up in prison or hanging from a rope. But don't worry. I got you, because I want to use you to draw those people out. And I want to also use you to draw out the people that is in search of the light. And when you find them, don't be afraid to get them the knowledge, because they're going to be ready for it. But the other ones that's not ready for it, I'm going to burn their ass up as soon as they step out of line and try to do anything to you. So you go ahead and do your thing. But here's the problem. The white man is so crafty, he know that there's people like me on the earth and you. So what does he do? He going to create circumstances where everything is so inflated and you have to spend so much time to hustling and trying to stop your ass from ending up sleeping under a garbage can, that you really don't have all the hours that you should have necessary to repair this earth. And that's what's more important than anything, because right now everybody that got these stupid ass jobs don't understand that once the water come and wipe that building out that you go to work in every day and worship the white man for having that dumb ass job, you're not going to be able to worry about having to go to work tomorrow, because that job's not going to be there. And that check that you worked for that last week when the water came and got your ass, you're never going to get it. Right. You're never going to get it.
Yeah.
That's sad, isn't it, man? Isn't it sad? But that's the control they put us under by creating conditions where they cut down all the trees, poured all the concrete, built their structures, and forced you to have to live in their houses, forced you to have the water that they made available for you through the pipes that come into their houses, because the place where you could have went to the river and got your own water all got poured concrete too, and control fences and everything, and police riding around with cars, no parking after 6 p.m., all that stupid control shit that keep everybody up under their control and victimized by them, where the only thing you can do is buy that food in that store. You know, you can't even grow your own food.
No, you just described the Great Tribulation. Because like you said, when the water comes and take your job, you ain't getting your check no more. It's just going to get harder and harder for more and more people. And the water's just going to come and take more and more shit away.
All that light's the light's gonna be turned off. Yep, the light's gonna be turned off. When the
can take your job.
That's right.
Can take your job.
Take your life, not your job, your life. I was giving you the glory, the real pretty side. The most beautiful thing that could happen. The most beautiful thing that can happen is that you perish, and don't be left out here trying to feed for yourself with all these vagabonds that's going to be running around raping women, raping men, killing people, eating people, because there's not going to be a food source but other, just like that movie,
all these meat-eating motherfuckers.
Mad Max, all of those movies, Mad Max, that's Beyond Thunderdome, and then the new one that Denzel just did called Save Us. What is it called? Deliver Us from Nikolai. What is that movie that he's in?
Protecting the Bible.
Yeah. What's the name of that movie?
Guarding the Bible. That is crazy. The judge or something.
No, he wasn't the judge. It was called Save Us. But anyway, the circumstances that they were all under right there, where they was fighting for water, some people cannibals, that's what the world is coming to, because everything is dying. And you can't get people to see that Jesus has failed them. You can't get them to see that, because they really believe that working for Jesus is something that makes sense, that you're going to get paid for all this work when you die.
They believe that movie, Denzel was fighting to save the last Bible that was printed. He had to get it to some holy temple. Crazy, man.
Yeah, and then the Bible was, see, all that is brainwashed. But it tells you the truth. It tells you that the world was destroyed because people were so involved with living out the teachings of that Bible instead of following heart vibrations and utilizing a conceptualization from your observation of your surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, the knowledge is in the book, but they ain't using it. They're using some false representation of the knowledge in the book.
Right, because the knowledge in the book created divine civilizations. This is not a divine civilization.
It's not divine. This is some. That's where you get all these Bible codes and all that shit. Well, the real meaning is, the esoteric meaning is, so people don't even understand. All they're doing is white worshiping white people, and the real meaning of everything in there that could help the earth and really help God's children is not easy a lot.
Of course it's not, because helping God's children does not make a profit for Jerusalem or the Jews that control that shit. All right, now I'm just gonna tell you the truth.
Yeah.
People can get mad at me if they want to. I don't care. The problem with the world is the propagandas of these sectors of these criminals that has came out. See, you know what they did? Let me tell you. I figured out how they did it. They did it through manipulating literature, because when they left from out of the institutions of learning from all the black people that educated them, what they did is they went around these sectors of their own people with this newfound knowledge and took advantage of their own people by creating governments based on literature that you kept archives of decision making and decision bodies. They also had come up with a method of extracting wealth from people because they were smarter than people. So they'll come in and give you bullshit promises about what they're going to do. Then they utilize strategies of harassment and atrocious activities that maimed people and crippled people, that would put people in positions where they couldn't fend for themselves, just like what they do now. Like, this is what I mean. If you owned the Catholic Church and you'd have made so much money because you'd been going around with your newfound knowledge, manipulating people, stealing their land from them and all kind of stuff, you could use this money to start doing just what they do today, having pawn shops and loaning money to people that you create circumstances around that will make them be failures. Like, for instance, our credit card system. Anytime you have a system where the government allows for merchants to raise these inflated prices on everything and then pass laws to keep the common masses in states of poverty. What they did to the black man to de-infrastruct us is the method now that that method that you saw with us under that system of Jim Crow and the same type of political bullshit that was known as apartheid in South Africa is the same method that was initiated on the, if you will, template type of thing that was created by the white man. He so created this system of deprivation and privilege, okay, for the well-being of himself. So what he did is he came up with a method of killing people, like the head persons of a family. Once the family is established in a system of debt with him, what he would do is look for the strongest contributor to the success of that family, which most of the time would be the man. So what he would do is go kill the man. Then he would move in with the woman under the pretense that I am godly, because they done gave him the image of white Jesus, and I'm here to help you through your moment of bad needs. Let me help you arrange for the funeral of your husband. Sign right here. So now you're in debt for something that should be free. You should not have to be going in debt with the bank to bury somebody, okay? So now you're in debt with that. And his whole thing is to steal your land. Now what he want to do is brainwash you into coming into the church and accepting that Savior. And if you don't, what happens? All the neighbors that's around that's already accepted this bullshit brainwash has been instructed to look at you as an outsider. Don't give her no help. Don't do anything to assist her until she accepts the religion. Okay, so now you got people that's looking at this lady in front on her like it's something wrong with her because her husband was murdered or died or whatever you want to say. But we all know that it was systematic. He's gone, she's a widow, and everybody gonna start saying now she's a witch or something like that. There's something wrong with her because she don't have a man. Where is her man died? And all this old shit about the people that should go and help her plant her soft acres so she don't lose her house and everything. No, we've been taught to be competitors. So what do I want? I want her soft acres. So I want her to be non-productive so I can be in cahoots with the corrupt ass church. So that's why I'm a Christian, because the church has all the privileges, and the church has promised me that if I help them see that she doesn't succeed, I get to have that soft acre down there. So now everybody is worshiping the image of this white man for the privileges that they know they can receive. All right. Now the lady who say, I'm not going to worship you because I don't feel that, you know, all kind of horrible things happen to her. She gets raped, all kind of stuff. There's no police force around to do anything in her defense. The villagers won't do anything in her defense because they know that the church have all these knights and everything that'll come and rape them and rape their wife and kill them. So everybody shut up and go along with it. So now you got a system where you had a Catholic church that turns all these people into indentured servants. That means that I own the land because I brutalized everyone and took possession of the land with my fake religion and my crusades and my armies of knights that'll kill your ass if you don't do what I say. So now I have control of Europe. And I am very rich because I have everybody in Europe paying tithes or taxes to the church under this guy's name of tithes. They're paying taxes to the church. So now what goes on after that is we're very rich, we're very wealthy, and we have a whole nation of people under our control. Let's go into Asia. That's just what they did. They went into Asia after that and perpetuated the same bullshit that they perpetuated all over that continent of Europe, all throughout Asia. Went into Asia, screwed and tampered with the blood systems of all the black people up there. Reprogrammed them. Taught them all kind of crazy shit. Alright? Everything about getting them off of that true knowledge of self is what was implemented to create a circumstance now where even in Asia you got people that call themselves Chinese people that have the nerves to hate the black citizens of their country. And it's like, look bitch, you know for a fact the true history of all us here, the statues and everything show us with big black noses and black ass lips, and you're not going to walk around this continent and see the greatest statues of black people in the world here and try to take the whole truth of this civilization and this creation of mankind going back like every other place on the earth to the melanated man and woman. But see, these strategies of what this Jew has done because of his privilege of learning sacred sciences and mathematics and knowledges from the Nile Valley civilizations, as well as the Moors who was up into Spain teaching his ass shit. Worst thing they could have did was educate that devil, because that devil took the education and became a more effective barbarian. And that's the reason now that we live in a world that's under the state of barbarism. I don't care what nobody say. When you look at a government that has a history of doing nothing but flying planes around the earth, dropping bombs on the general masses, you know this bitch is a terrorist. And the nerve for him to point his finger at other nations and try to accuse someone else of being a terrorist when I can open the book and show you